Hey there YouTube, it's Josh Graham here yet again with a brand new deck discussion series. I'm going to bring you part 2 on the Gladiator Beast discussion since there was no way I could finish that in one video. I don't want to overgeneralize anything here, but I think I've got some amazing techs for this deck that are going to push this deck over the edge. It's probably a little too much information about my deck, but to be honest, if you're really playing your deck to try and beat one person at a Shonen Jump, you're going to have a lot of trouble. You still have to look for the main meta and the main problems. Yeah, you know how it is. But I'm testing out Compulsory Evacuation Device. That card is ridiculous. I don't know if you've ever played with it in Gladiator Beasts, but I have. It's pretty retarded. You often use it just to play around removal, and has the added bonus of knocking out a Stardust Dragon with no cost at all, and it's chainable. Another thing is you can force Titanials to either tribute themselves or bounce themselves, and most plant decks these days are playing that quick draw and have no real way of making use of Titanial once it's back in your hand, so they're probably just going to tribute it so they have Light and Darkness fodder later, but it still gets it off the board, and you can still set them up and remove it with Ridiari, all kinds of good stuff. This card is pretty amazing. I've been using it to 2-for-1 with bottomlesses all day. Just go Bestiary Swing, target their back row, they chain the other one, bottomless, and you go Compulsory, and +1, no problem. Not to mention all the tricks like go special summon a GB with Darius and go Compulsory, and you'll get its effect because it's off the board now, so it's no longer negated, and all kinds of other stuff. Just tricks like that are really helpful in winning tournaments and stuff like that, because no one can ever really expect what your deck can do. It's 2 more ways to get around skill drain like Book of Moon. And skill drain's always been a problem for Glad Beasts. I don't know how relevant it is this format, but it still is pretty difficult to get around. Yeah, I promised I would talk about side decking, and I can just basically tell you some very good side decking cards for this format. Basically, if you didn't already know, Nobleman a Crossout is the be-all, end-all card to beat Rescue Cat decks these format. The deck thrives off Raikos and Spies. You get rid of those, and you're gonna end games quickly. Spy is like the most overpowered card this format, getting you the Descendant, clearing your back row and setting up for a synchro or setting up for basically anything that you have to worry about. And shutting down that Spy is a key way of getting off those plays. You run so much removal, so you don't really have to worry about Fire Dog, but you do have to worry about Spy and Raiko clearing your back row. Nobleman across would deal with that easier. Another card that I'm trying out is Pulling the Rug. Pulling the Rug is amazing against those gadget machine decks that are getting popular now because they're so cheap. So you just rug their gadget or their gear frame, and you're gonna start winning games quickly because they're gonna run out of summons, and their 1-for-1 removal isn't gonna do that great against your GBs, as you're just gonna get a quest and bounce back. And if they can't keep up with your pluses, they're gonna lose. So Pulling the Rug's always been a great card against that deck. So always side Pulling the Rug against gadgets. Like Legendary Jitsu Master is another great card against gadgets. It's also good against the Mirror and Blackwings. And the last card for gadgets is Cyber Dragon. You just special summon Cyber Dragon Or you use Prisma to dump Cyber Dragon, and you can get Fortress Dragons no problem, and screw that deck over really quickly too. Trap Hole is another good card. You sided in against the Mirror because the Mirror doesn't really care about Chariots. So you just Trap Hole their monster and take control. Like, I mean, it's not that good because they can just Equest it back later, but it's more removal to keep their Equests off the board. Brain's another broken card side against the Mirror, but I don't have to talk about Brain Control. I mean, what hasn't been said about the best spell card in the game? DD Crow is another really good card. You disrupt those debris plant decks by crowing their Avarices or crowing their Drill Warrior to get the Dandelion or whatever. You crow their Light and Darkness target. You crow basically anything you need to. Especially the Debris Dragon targets, because their Debris Dragon's just going to sit there and get run over, so you even out that way. And I want to talk about the Starlight Road issue. I've noticed a lot of people don't really know this, but running mass removal in a Starlight Road format is really dumb. I mean, Geyseris can target one, so yeah, you can play around it. And Wave will shut it down so you can go Geyseris target those. But but one for one removal like MST and Dust Tornado is just working so much better than Heavy Storm is, because you have to pretty much use Heavy on one back row, because not many people are going to be setting multiples without Road, because they still fear the Heavy. So if they're just setting one, you're just going to dust their one and you're going to take control. Most people also run into Hopple Misses, which go into Bestiary, which deal with individual spell and traps. So there are ways to pick off the back row without going Heavy Storm that actually do get you plus as well. It's just you can't really play around Road. Like, I mean, you can try and get lucky and dust the Road, or MST the Road, or Bestiary the Road, then go Heavy Storm. Realistically, if they have 4 back rows, you're going to hit it 25% of the time, and out of the 4 games that'll be crucial to you in a tournament, only winning 1 out of 4 is not going to be good at all for you, especially if those are game 3s, because that just means you're X and 3 now, and you have no chance of topping a jump. So you can't even play around. You can't even use Mirror Force on 2 monsters without risking it, because I mean, who's gonna put 2 monsters on the board and run into an obvious Mirror Force without having Road or something to stop it? So it's not gonna work as well. Dimensional Prison on their 1 monster is gonna be a lot better than Mirror Forces, as getting that monster out of the game, especially if it's something like a critical Glad Beast or a Sirocco, or like they run Avarice or whatever. It's just better. And chaining Dimensional Prison to something when they have Light and Darkness is a lot better than destroying their lad and they get back a monster. So there are a lot of ways to specifically play around that, but you have to make sure that you play around it properly. There's a lot of other ways to play around Road, but the main way is just don't play the power cards and use good reads and play around them. I mean, it's deductive reasoning, right? If you go summon Bestiary, they don't bottomless, they of course don't have it. You swing, and they don't deprison, they don't have deprison. So what could their back rows be? If you're playing against Blackwing, it could probably be an Icarus attack. It could be an Oppression. It could be a Starlight Road, a Solemn. If you're playing against Gladiators, could be a Chariot. Could even be a Dead Dust Shoot. I mean, there are a lot of situations. But yeah, Gotta wrap this up.